and welcome everyone to Inova's Tech Insight podcast. I'm Raquel Allen, your host, and with me is Dupal. Persaud. Dupal is our product manager for Modern Workplace based in our Curacao office. And today we are going to be looking at, of course, Modern Workplace, right? Unlocking M365 potential. We're going to be looking at some hidden features within M365 subscription that we can use to boost productivity. We'll look at some tools to facilitate remote work, which we've all gotten into over the past few years more assiduously. And we'll also look at some practical tips for maximizing productivity across the tools. DePaul, it's a pleasure having you. Thanks for joining us today. How are you doing?
Thank you very much, Raquel. I'm doing great. It's a pleasure to be here, and I'm looking forward to share a lot and learn as well as we hover over this next episode.
Absolutely, absolutely. And DePaul, before we go into the full spiel for today, tell us a little bit about DePaul and how DePaul has contributed so invaluably to Inova over the past few years.
Thank you so much. So indeed, I'm product manager for Modern Workplace within Inova. What does it mean? What you know as Microsoft 365, that suite, that's where I have deep knowledge in understanding how people and organizations would work and collaborate in this modern era that we live in. I started with Inova almost 7 years ago. I'm nearing my anniversary date as part of the sales support. And as the technology evolved, the company evolved, and our customers also evolved, I also evolved within the organization. And I am the guy that they would say the CSP champion. So everything when it comes to this type of agreement, when we're talking about moving your resources to the cloud, especially when it comes to Modern Workplace, I'm known as the guy to where they call me in and help guide this process. So that's how I kind of evolved together with the company. And especially in the modern era that we're living, that's where my value would be to contribute with my colleagues, but especially for our customers.
Absolutely. And he's understating his value. Absolutely, guys. But let us maximize the value of his time with us today. And thank you for that, DePaul, and dive into our conversation, right? So Modern Workplace, M365 DePaul. M365 offers a plethora of tools and features beyond the basics. We know this. But tell me, can you share a few two lesser known features within the subscription that significantly boosts productivity and efficiency across organizations, maybe personally or otherwise?
Well, of course, you already mentioned it, and I don't think you were aware of it, because there is actually a feature that is called the Tell Me feature. You might know of it, but you don't know it's called Tell Me.
Tell me, please.
Yes, if you open usually your Word document or your Excel document, all the way to the top, there's like this search bar that at some point appeared, and we don't know how it works. I'm going to show you in a bit, but I want to focus first on explaining what this feature look like. That Tell Me feature helps you just look up anything that you're. It's a kind of search bar that allows you to quickly find and access tools and commands within those Office applications. So I'm going to share my screen real quick here because I know you want to know and learn that it's called the Tell Me feature. Allow me to pivot a bit from one screen to the other. So usually, assuming you have like the Microsoft 365 Business Premium suite, it's full of features, especially the security part that I love that comes along with for great value. So what you can see is you hover over your waffle where you can have all those apps. But let's keep it simple. If you open like your Word document, any blank document, and you start working within that Word, okay? All the way to the top, you have here the search for tools, help, and more. This is the feature that's called Tell Me. So, for example, if I want to make something there's the version history. So I'm going to look up version, and it gives me the feature that I want to search for. So I don't have to go and look up where it's hidden in those toolbars. I can just look up and see, hey, this is the version history feature that I was looking for. And you don't have to then search for this tool. Now, talking about the version history, it aligns with what I want to share as well. Do you remember the time where you share the files and then you got it back, like edited by Raquel, and then with another name and with another date, and at some point you have version 2.0, 3.0, 4.0, and you lost it.
Yes.
So you're more busy with document management versus being productive. Now, within the Microsoft 365 suite, there is the version history feature where it automatically saves the progress, and then you can collaborate. So now we're talking about two lesser features, which I know is very valuable, that helps you with your day-to-day features. Okay, I'm gonna show you something more because now we're working on specifically within like the Word environment. Let's do one step back and go into all the apps. And in all the apps, there's also more features. The one that I want to show you, let me just open more apps. Okay. One that I would see this is something that more people can use is the list, because it allows you to create and share and track your data and not even to use those regular sticky notes. And that list is within your Office 365 environment, so you can keep track of whatever you're doing. So whenever I need to prepare, for example, for this podcast, I can open the list and just create any information that I would need. Okay? I'm not going to do that for now. I'm going to give you this trigger for curiosity, and you can see for yourself if you had that feature in your Microsoft 365 environment. Raquel, I hope this is the first basic tools that can significantly boost productivity or efficiency within any organization.
Absolutely. I, for one, have learned a trick or two already. Tell me, I've been told. And the version tracking is important because as collaboration becomes more important and across different departments, different locations, keeping everyone on the same track and being able to look back and ensuring you're in the right place where you need to be is extremely important.
Yes.
So we look at Word, and again, these two features are resident to Word, but I'm sure there are more, the plethora of additional features right across M365 that we can unlock. And I'm going to be tapping into Dupal for some more, apart from the ones that I'm familiar with, having, of course, personally, Inova has given all of us access to all these powerful tools with M365. It's deployed across all of our locations. All of our teams are using Teams and all the other features. Yes. So we talked about Word version tracking and the Tell Me productivity. And then we also went into another feature, which Dupal highlighted, and we want to bear these in mind, right? So thanks to Paul for that. Definitely interesting information I've learned, and I'm sure everyone watching will learn from this. All right, so I just mentioned Teams, and we talked about collaboration, and it's become a big game changer, or maybe a continued game changer, not only since COVID, pre-COVID, but even more so now coming out of COVID. Companies are seeing the value of enabling collaboration through because of the dawn of remote work, right? So with the rise of this remote work setup across most companies, how do tools like Teams and SharePoint support seamless collaboration across, remote teams and work organizations?
Okay, so let's do one step back first to understand how Teams is and what is SharePoint. Okay, we all know what SharePoint is. SharePoint is a collaboration platform where you can store data and information, and it makes it easier to collaborate among especially remote teams. Okay, because it provides this centralized platform for communication, file sharing, and project management. Whenever you need to work on that, the name itself is self-explanatory. It's called the SharePoint. Okay. Now, Teams drives and works above SharePoint. This means that anything that you work on within Teams, the underlying technology is built on the known SharePoint that we've been using for decades already. This means that from an engineering perspective, it would not change the way you handle your data. Now, from a productivity perspective, it enables every team to use this platform and then collaborate and then find the documents and information back. So what the specific example here, what I want to highlight is because of Teams, you can then collaborate across different workforces using virtual meetings and real-time collaboration on those documents. And then because it's all relying on SharePoint, you can then organize and sharing those project-related files and information and keep everything within your environment. What I want to highlight as well is because of Teams, now it doesn't matter where you're working from. What matters is how efficiently you can collaborate. So the shift of being at the office and being remotely is now bridged using these platforms, this powerful collaborative platforms like Teams. Is it something
Absolutely.
specific that you want me to like highlight, or maybe a
No,
challenge
I
that
was
you
going to
have
say to
been?
you,
Yeah.
no, no, I was going to say yes. SharePoint being the foundation, Teams being the top layer, security protocols in the background,
Yes.
conditional access, all of the good stuff to ensure that,
Mhm.
but then at the end of the day, affording that collaboration that's needed. And I'd like to maybe, in terms of specifics, Dupal, thanks for that. Could you maybe give us an example of how these tools have transformed how Inova, we ourselves work as a team?
Yes, let me give you an example on, for example, how this podcast was presented. So, Raquel, you're in Jamaica, right? I'm here in Curacao. I did not receive any document in my email. You just shared that information through my Teams. And because I have it in my Teams, I can then create from those preparation, I created my own timeline in terms of what I want to prepare from. It's the same platform. It still seems we did not send any email. We did not open any Outlook, have back and forth discussions over email. We were collaborating on Teams. Now, because I am close to the marketing team here that facilitates this, I was able to do the in-person collaboration we would have and join it with the virtual offices we have by collaborating from all the way from Curacao to Jamaica. And this all happened within a couple of hours. So within Inova, we are very familiar because we are working within in the Caribbean. We are familiar that traveling and commuting is a challenge, and I don't think that's something that's only applicable within the Caribbean. But because we have this, we can be closer colleagues better than ever, and that's how, for example, for this podcast, I was able to prepare to set up everything we need for today and be still being productive in doing anything else that my role as product manager requires to keep on the business going. So what I want to say is that the way we have been collaborating has been fast tracked because we are using cloud and we're using the technology the way it was supposed to build. So then we're getting most value out of what we get from the subscriptions, including all the other features built on a reliable platform with security in place, with all those other protocols in place and procedures that helps us keep things in track and under control. So talking about Teams, Teams is a collaborative platform. We use it mainly to chat. And once we have come to a consent, that's being translated into the email that we send. And then we say, as discussed, as agreed, after the fact that we have going back and forth and tango into what we want to achieve. So then because that tool provides that collaboration and enable that communications, my inbox now is much more calm and have a nice oversight because we're not using mail as a platform to communicate. We're using mail as a platform to establish what has been agreed upon And that communication, that informal, that way of flexibility coming to a consent happens now in Teams, where we can also share the files, we can also see each other and have a better feeling on what we're dealing with. And that's the biggest shift here when I talk to other peers when we implement a modern workplace. Thank you.
Oh, thank you for that, Dupal. Very detailed, and I like the fact that you've been able to use a use case that is actually happening here live.
Exactly.
And he talked about preparation. He mentioned continuity. You also mentioned the security protocols and all of those things. But your mailbox is extremely important, and that can get quickly filled with quick confirmations and coordinations and so forth. But having to be able to track that in Teams instead of in the emails, being able to what I call do the groundwork in Teams and then cement it in email and then formalize it with Word or a PowerPoint presentation. It's complete continuity for internal collaboration and efficiency and productivity. Awesome work in explaining that out. And just case in point, for example, yesterday we had an extended meeting with a customer with regards to a project. Now, after that meeting, everyone is kind of not scrambling, but working towards taking away salient points from the meeting, right? Now, some persons may not capture the full breadth. Some persons have different perceptions and focus points, but then we need to consolidate and make sure we've covered everything. So there are a couple of things we can do. At the end of the call, Teams provides a transcript. There is a recording. It goes to Sway. I can share that. I can listen back. I can look cross-reference with the transcript. I can then take using Copilot maybe the salient points and creating that requirements or next steps document or email. So the awesome productivity, ability, and collaboration available within 365 is immense. And we have external and internal use cases for this. So definitely appreciate the information shared and the processes that you've shared as well, Dupal, regarding the 365 productivity abilities. Now, as we go closer to the end of our conversation, and we continue to talk about 365, we Inova ourselves play in several sectors, right? We are in IT, we are focused on 365 Microsoft products and services, but our customers are across different industries, and they have diverse needs depending on the size and the industry. SMB versus enterprise. Tell me some of the ways we can customize features or integrate 365 in organizations to meet their unique requirements or needs.
So let me see if I understand your question correctly. Because we cater a large, diverse pool of customers with different needs across different sectors and different requirements, how does Inova then help translate the full suite of what Microsoft offers towards our customers? Is that what you're asking here?
And specific to M365.
Okay, specific to M365.
Yes, okay. Let's fine tune it to 365. So we know it's an out-of-the-box SaaS solution, but there are ways we may be able to integrate and or boost certain features based on an industry and some of the use cases. Maybe an automation from Power Apps, for example. Give us some indications or ideas that you've come to mind when you think of this.
Okay, so because an organization is using Microsoft 365 suite, whether it's the business segment or the enterprise segment or a combination of that, it allows your organization to tailor your workspace to fit your specific requirements. Why is that? Because it's all built in that same ecosystem, that trusted cloud from Microsoft. Once you have all your data there, or you have your process there, your organization works within that area, you can now start fostering and harvest that data to make data-driven decisions and evidence-based. And that's where the Power Platform comes in. Two aspects I would like to highlight here. I believe in this era of modernization and the digital era that we're riding now, reports, real-time reports, business intelligence reports, fetching data from your organization into Power BI to get those dashboards going, that's a must. So I would say organizations can definitely use the Power Platform, those features to create those workflows and automation, especially repetitive tasks, and then integrate all those applications with those Microsoft 365 tools. And because it's in one ecosystem, the steps and the transition to do that securely within a reasonable time frame and cost effective would be much easier to achieve. I would focus, this is my direct recommendation, leverage the usage of Power Automate feature, because you can automate those tasks and then focus on exactly the growth that you want to achieve. And then use the BI app, the Power BI, in order to get correct data from your environment and use that data for direct reporting, but also your management, where you want to focus on your vision and mission for the coming years. And because you know you have those data, it would be much more efficient to use those facts in order to focus on where you need to improve and where you need to accelerate. And that's the strength of what I would see right now. Innova plays a big role in shaping this environment. Why is that? Everybody at some point is already using the cloud. The next step is how to monetize all this information with, for example, the uses of artificial intelligence known as Copilot within Microsoft, but also those Power Platforms where you can get those data and process it faster, where you can have more insight and better decisions for your organization, whether it's beneficial for your customer or internal assessments. That information is already available. It needs to be matched and fetched, where it's being presented nicely in dashboards and easy to access and very easy to rely on.
Absolutely. Thank you for that, DePaul. Data is the new or continued currency, right?
Yeah.
And the power that you can get from analyzing and utilizing that data to make strategic decisions, to drive your vision, enabling those visions to be realized is important. The automation and customization available across the Automate and the Power Apps, right?
Yes.
It gives you the power to fulfill those strategic objectives.
For sure.
Across your organizations, and it's sector agnostic, right? You can right fit this across any industry, almost any use case, and Innova and our expertise with DePaul and the rest of our wider team can definitely support you with consulting and understanding your environment. How are you doing things now, and how can we utilize what you already have within your premium apps, your business apps, your M365 apps? What can we use to, I would say, make better what you're already doing, improving what you're already doing with the Power Apps, Power BI, and so forth. And business intelligence will never be old. It will never be played out. Analytics will never be played out. And this drives wonderful decision making and definitely helps with strategy. So DePaul, thank you for this. I think we have definitely hit some very important areas regarding productivity, collaboration, security, although that wasn't the highlight of our conversation, but very much grateful to you for your knowledge.
Thank you very much.
As always, you've been invaluable. Everyone, we hope you've gleaned a lot. But before we go to Paul, anything else you would like to add or close off before we go?
Yes, I would like to use technology in order to say thank you. So let's see how it works. This is always exciting. So let me go back to some screen sharing. I'm going to give you an overview of all the apps that are available. For example, if you have Business Premium or any other subscription that you would have. So it's not only limited to Word, Excel, PowerPoint that we know. There is much more that you're getting for your value. And one of them that I use is, for example, OneNote. It might be a simple, undervalued tool, but OneNote gives you for you to organize all your notes actually and Teams information. So I would like to use this feature and using my touchscreen to say thank you for joining us. And because of the power of Microsoft and its development. You can see I'm using the ink to note feature that translates my handwritten, almost unreadable information, that translates it into readable information. So if I would visit you and put my notes, I can translate it instantly to what is valuable and share that with my colleagues in order to remain productive. So once again, thank you for joining us. Thank you for being here. And I hope that we can continue working in producing better information and better insights on how you can leverage the power of Microsoft 365. And if there's anything, I'll be here to guide you in this process. Thank you very much once again.
You're welcome. And thank you, well, everyone. That is how we'll wrap up. I'll leave it in Dupal's hands. We look forward to our next episode and we wish you all the very best. Take care. Thank you, Dupal.
Thank you. Bye-bye.